What is going on, Guardians? Ember here with another one for you. Today we're going to be using another double special build. This time we're using no backup plans, conditional finality, and Nessa's oblation. They all work together in perfect harmony, and let me tell you, it can take care of business. I don't think I've ever seen so many void explosions. Before we get into it though, let's head down below this video, absolutely obliterate that like and subscribe button. Don't forget to stick around for the end of the video where we'll have an original meme. And without further ado, let's get to it. Alright Guardians, let's get into this build here. First off, I am loving using double special builds lately, and I think this exotic right here has one of the best synergies with double special builds. So let's talk about it. No backup plans. This is a very strong exotic that focuses around the use of shotguns. So the perk here, Force Multiplier, while using a Void subclass, rapid shotgun final blows, or defeating a powerful combatant with a shotgun will grant a Void Overshield and start health regeneration. While you have a Void Overshield, shotguns deal additional damage, and shotgun final blows refresh the Overshield, provides a small benefit to shotgun airborne effectiveness and reload speed. So the reload speed is very helpful there, especially when you have something like this Nessa's Oblation. I have this with Dragonfly and destabilizing rounds, and this is kind of what I'm using as my general ad clear weapon. And then when we have larger targets with beefy health bars, we're going to swap over to the Conditional Finality here. If I did have something like Legend of Acrius, I'd probably swap that in for my heavy and maybe even run a triple shotgun build. But I will say, having the heavy machine gun in that slot did help me, especially when I got a little bit far away from some of the enemies that might be able to kill me before I could necessarily get over there. But so let's talk about our overall subclass here and how it works with no backup plans. So I'm using the Ward of Dawn with Towering Barricade, Strafe Lift, Shield Throw, and a Suppressor Grenade. So that way we can suppress and keep light-bearing enemies from using their supers or other abilities for really a huge amount of time. We have our aspects here. We're not actually going to be using Bastion. You know, you would think that that's one of the best ones for us to use for this, but I found that we don't actually need this to keep our Overshield up, and instead we can use the other aspects here. First off, Controlled Demolition. Hitting a target with a Void ability or Volatile Explosion makes them volatile. Further damage to a volatile target causes them to explode, grants you and nearby allies health when volatile targets explode near you. And then the other one we're using here is Offensive Bulwark. While you have an Overshield or are inside Ward of Dawn, your grenade charges significantly faster, you have increased melee range and damage, and your melee final blows extend the duration of your Overshield. You gain an additional shield throw while in Sentinel Shield. So we're actually using the Ward of Dawn, so that last little bit isn't going to help us, but specifically the grenade charges significantly faster and have increased melee range and damage while we have our Overshield. That's just going to power us up so much. Let's take a look at these fragments here. We have Echo of Starvation. Picking up a Void Breach or an Orb of Power grants Devour. Now, you do get an Overshield when you kill enemies, since we do have backup plans as long as we're using a shotgun. I did find that we will need a little bit more health regeneration. So the Overshield, having that just helps us to be able to use the extra damage. It's 35% more damage for all shotguns while we have our Overshield up, but it can be interrupted, getting that Overshield and our health regen, it can be interrupted and you can still die. So having that little bit of Devour there, that is going to help us immensely. We also have our next one, Echo of Undermining. Your Void Grenades weaken targets, so we're going to be able to deal something around 55% extra damage or something like that just with an Overshield and hitting something with a weakening grenade. That's very, very powerful. We're going to be chewing through some of those yellow health bars. Next, we have Echo of Persistence. Void buffs apply to you. That's the Invisibility, Overshield, and Devour have increased duration, so that way we can keep our Overshield as long as possible and really benefit the most from this extra damage buff. And then lastly, we have Echo of Harvest. Defeating a weakened target creates an Orb of Power and a Void Breach. So that's where we're really falling back into our grenade. We're going to get so many Overshields. Our grenades are going to be recharging super, super fast, and every time we kill a weakened target that happened to be hit by our grenade, we're going to make both a Void Breach and an Orb of Power. Next, let's look over here at these mods that I have set up. So we do have a couple that I was not using in the gameplay down here: Powerful Attraction and a Special Finisher. So I am running double special ammo finder, and since we are using double special, we're getting more heavy drops. I'm sure you'll see in the background gameplay we have tons and tons of heavy on the ground, not necessarily so much special. So I did add this special finisher here so that we can generate just a little bit more special ammo, and it'll help our allies out. And then using the Powerful Attraction, casting our barricade and getting all the orbs around us, that'll help us set up that special ammo finisher when we can't necessarily take the time to go run around the battlefield and pick them all up. So having said all that, let's get into some of the gameplay, and I'll talk about how this all works together, and you'll see for yourself it is incredibly powerful. Alright, so let's break down no backup plans just a little bit more, just so we're all clear. Getting a shotgun kill on anything that's an orange bar or higher will immediately give you an overshield, proccing 35% extra shotgun damage while you continue to have an overshield. And getting 2 of any enemy, so any red bar could be 2 thrall, anything like that, will give you the overshield guaranteed. So it's not just with the big beefy enemies, it's also with any enemy that you can get your hands on in front of you. So that's 35% extra damage just for getting kills with shotguns. We were going to do that anyway, and we're also stacking surge mods on that. So right now I have 2 surge mods. That's about 20% extra damage as well. So we're sitting pretty at 55% extra shotgun damage almost all the time. It's almost constant. Plus our Void debuff grenade, we're adding another 15% there. So it's just snowballing. If you end up wanting to get a hunter on your team with a tether, adding maybe something like Legend of Acrius for that extra damage on top of there. I know that has some insane DPS right now, and that's what a lot of people are using no backup plans for, but we're going to be sitting somewhere around 85% extra shotgun damage just for running around doing what we normally would be doing. Personally, here I'm going to be using the Conditional Finality shotgun, the ease of use on that, plus the shatter damage, the ignitions. You can kind of turn a single enemy into a grenade, if you will, with some of those ignitions, plus just dealing with any of those yellow bar enemies. It just makes them a cakewalk. You can take out those wizards in just a couple of shots. It's really nothing crazy. Let's talk about the workhorse, my daily driver for this build, if you will. We're looking at Nessa's Oblation, and I have a fantastic roll on it. I have Dragonfly and Destabilizing Rounds, so we're creating tons of explosions everywhere. One punch can detonate 5, 6, 8 enemies. It's really insane when you get all those explosions cascading on one another, plus any orange or yellow bar enemy around them just taking tons and tons of damage. It's free. It's literally free.
It's free real estate.
Damage that we're just piling on top of them. They can't handle it. We have so many different ways to keep our overshields going, so we're never ever running out of that buff, and it doesn't matter. Even if we do, it's a real quick, just a couple of shotgun kills away to keep that buff going. Let's talk about the improvements that we can make here on this build. I personally would probably like to use something besides the heavy machine gun for my actual DPS most of the time. So if we're not using Legend of Acrius with this and we're wanting to use something else, we're going to want to pile on with something maybe like a rocket launcher. We can use any of those new shattering rocket launchers that have chill clip or things like that for big damage. But that is why I recommend adding on that special ammo finisher like I talked about in the mod section of the video. If you didn't hear about that, head back there real quick, because you do run out of the special ammo, and you have to pull out something like the heavy machine gun, which is what I had on hand for this particular section of the video. Just giving yourself a way to generate some of that special ammo is invaluable, because you'll have times where you do run out of that shotgun. Since we are using the double special build, even though we're using double special ammo finder, I was running out of some of that ammo in really important times that were coming back to kind of haunt me. That was about the only time that I actually died, was when I ran out of shotgun ammo. So that is very, very important to make sure that you always have on you. And the last thing that I'll say, and this is actually very important, is that reload speed buff from no backup plans is essential. Honestly, I don't know if I could have really gotten behind this exotic as well if it did not have that buff to the reload speed. You can really just supercharge the amount of DPS that you're putting out, and when you have something like the Ness's Oblation without auto-loading holster or holster mods, things like that, it can get you into some sticky situations when you do run out of that ammo. And Guardians, that's going to have to be all for me for now. Let's go ahead and throw that meme up on the screen. Let me know down below what you think about the no backup plans and what shotgun are you going to be pairing with it. If you did enjoy this video, do consider giving me a like and maybe a sub down below, but until next time, Guardians, be without form, swift as lightning.